everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
He's in the flesh. He's actually back at the house.
Well, it seems like every night I was going to come around my neighborhood, it was snowing a little bit. And also, it's just, it was that time of year where I just wanted to go to bed the second I got home. It was getting late, dark when I get off work. And, for being a Darth Lord, I'm not much for being out after dark anymore.
Yeah, no, I know how it goes. I mean, it's obviously not as big a deal for me because I live here.
Right.
But
your drive is 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. just two from my desk to the table.
Right.
Oh man, so how's your week been?
It's been pretty good.
Good.
Except for today. It was very cold.
Today's a little cold. It's supposed to be a little colder next week.
But I really can't.
It's January.
Really can't complain. I got a heated coat for Christmas, so I'm doing better than everyone else out there right now. All the heathens.
True. So yeah, I mean it's been an all right week, I suppose. Just another week in January.
Yeah, we got to pass the holidays. Now it's just a slog for the next few months of. I don't want to say nothing to look forward to because obviously we have some Star Wars things coming up, but just back to the daily grind.
Well, yeah, Clone Wars is very closely approaching. We're all kind of hoping for some information for Project Luminous, and we will see if and when that happens, which is going to lead us into a couple subjects for today, so I figured we'll just jump right in. We actually had a comment on a YouTube video about, hey, yeah, it wasn't even negative. So are you guys going to talk about the High Republic era rumors? So I wasn't really going to do anything with it right now. And the reason is because there's not much really, in my opinion, there's not much to talk about, but we can.
Yeah, there's quite a few videos out already. I was actually listening to some on the way here. There's really no substance to it that I found. There wasn't a lot of facts, but it is exciting. I mean, definitely got people buzzing over it and speculating.
Right.
And it is fun, and it does bring up one good point that I think that we could discuss a little bit if we do talk about it. So, so what do you know about it?
Well, I mean, honestly, not a whole lot. I mean, this was supposed to apparently have been the Benioff and Weiss project, which originally we thought was all going to be Old Republic. Mm-hmm. And Benioff and Weiss, signed on the dotted line and said, we're going to do Netflix. And actually, they just recently got a series that they were supposed to be developing for HBO canceled as well. Mm-hmm. I think those guys are going down the tube. And I would be very surprised if their Netflix show actually comes to fruition. There's something fishy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I really didn't read much into that. What were their plans for Netflix exactly?
I don't remember. Okay. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it.
Yeah,
but
they are definitely not well liked in any nerd community circle anymore.
Well,
so
it seems like they've done themselves a pretty awful disservice. But people do that. And it could have just been working on the thrones for as long as they did and getting tapped out creatively, mentally.
Hey, maybe they might have just had a mental block, and we can't really blame them for that. It happens. But.
Well, but when you sign up for Star Wars and you put all these expectations and you start getting people excited, and then you don't even attempt to make good on that, it becomes a bit of an issue. But. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. One thing I want to kind of clarify, a lot of times I've noticed, thinking back on it, I tend to incorrectly categorize the Republic eras. So we've never really had a very clear divide between, the Republic eras, aside from,
Rule of Two is a pretty big divide, but other than that, we don't have much.
Not really. Well, hold on. So we've got like... After the Empire's defeat was the New Republic, okay? And basically, I always kind of categorize everything before the Empire as the Old Republic because it is the Old Republic. And unfortunately, that's not a very correct categorization anymore because the Old Republic is like Revan and the
Bane.
old the man. Well, before Bane, but I mean like. Too. Your old Mandalorian wars and the Sith planet and the old Sith Emperor.
Sith gods. And
I mean, so there's a lot before that. So then we start to talk about the potential for a High Republic era, which is kind of like the golden age of the Republic, where there was a peace, where there was supposed to, pretty much the idea is an expansion of the Jedi.
Almost like a Renaissance period in a way.
Yeah. Good call for that. And, a lot of discovery, a lot of, potential learning, gathering of old artifacts, sort of, even maybe a little bit of experimentation, because there was some talk about that in the Master and Apprentice book, in the Dooku audio drama.
We got in Dooku, and also in the most recent issue of The Rise of
Kylo Ren. Yeah, there was some stuff in there as well. So
from old Lor Santeca.
Yeah. So, but in all honesty, there hasn't been enough leaked to say this is what it's going to be about. Now, we do have the potential for a younger Yoda.
Yes, and potentially Yaddle, which people don't necessarily talk about as much, but that'd be kind of interesting to know a a little bit more about her.
Yeah,
I believe it's 400 years before the Phantom Menace.
Correct. Now, but I am not interested in a Yoda-centric series.
I'm not either, and this kind of gets to the one thing I want to discuss. This is why I don't want to see Yoda in it, and this is why I'm kind of glad in one way that we're not going to the Old Republic. As a fandom, we have these attachments to all these characters, all this lore that we tend to kind of rip anyone apart who tries to change it or doesn't do it to our specifications.
Sure.
So what Disney is essentially doing is completely taking that away from us in a way.
Yeah, creating an
all-new
subsection.
By creating completely new characters, completely new lore in some ways. They're opening themselves up for the potential to make this more theirs instead of just kind of riding off the coattails of Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
I have heard a lot of talk that this could end up being like a MC universe kind of thing where it's going to be a lot of spin-offs, not really focused around one general story. I don't know how I feel about that because I don't want Star Wars to become Marvel. That's the only thing that has me a bit concerned because I don't want there to be so little development of the characters where we just don't care about them.
I don't want that.
I really don't want it either.
Listen, the MCU approach works in the comics.
In MCU, because there's already so many established characters.
Well, because that's how it was. I mean, that's what the MCU was in comic formation. But in Star Wars, you have to have, like you just said, you have to have established characters in order to do that. And if you're coming into a point in time where you don't have that, it doesn't work. Because then you have to create lore. And, again, we kind of said, so the Project Luminous is supposed to be a sort of lead up or lead into this. And it's exciting to see so many awesome writers be a part of that in comics and novels.
Yeah, we have Claudia Gray. We have the writer of Dooku. We have quite a few different
Charles
writers.
Soule. And it's a
doing
great...
both comics and young adult novels as well.
Yeah, it's a great lineup, but I think I would rather. I'm cool with a new universe being created, but I just you have to make me care about it. You have to figure out.
We're gonna have to have some tie-ins to something, like
and
say
that's why I'm saying though, who's the character that we know that would potentially be alive at that time frame? Yoda.
Yeah. Well. That's the thing. I think going into this, if we're really going to enjoy this, we kind of have to accept we're going to have to just start from scratch. I mean, that is kind of the direction I think it's going to go, personally.
Yeah, but that's why...
I just don't think anyone wants Yoda right now. They want Baby Yoda. I don't think anyone really wants... I mean, yeah, I take that back. There's a lot of people who do. I don't personally need to know anything more about Yoda.
Well, okay, but I think your point is very valid. But I also think that it is playing it too safe. So my thing is this is actually an interesting tie-in for like wrestling. You know how we used to watch wrestling when we were kids, like WWF? And then now you have a very family-friendly product, which people constantly bash on anymore, and they say, well, you guys are crap because you don't do the way things used to be and blah, blah, blah. So Disney buying this product and wanting to expand upon it was both a huge win for Disney and also a huge loss for Disney. I don't think that they really understood what they were getting themselves into when you decided to take over a series that is actually quite violent. At its core.
It's got war right in the name.
Yeah.
So,
So when you talk about this High Republic, it sounds like trying to be a utopian Jedi, sort of wonder town, but that's cool. But I am here to say this, and you guys can dispute it. I don't think that's what the fans want.
I don't think there are any fans who want a peaceful Star Wars movie.
No, well, I mean, maybe. I mean, you can explore a lot of lore, but in movie form, I just don't know how that's going to look. You have to create, interesting characters and not try and cast like your Brad Pitts and Tom Cruises to do it, like normal Hollywood or Leonardo DiCaprio's. You have to find people that can actually lead a new generation. But again, that's why I say you almost have to do the Old Republic at some point, but then just don't deviate. The source material is already there. Just do what the source material is telling you to do. It's already written. Maybe tweak here and there, but just let it be and give the fans something they really want. And, I really enjoyed The Rise of Skywalker, but The Rise of Skywalker in a lot of people's minds was a fan service. And I don't.
You could argue the entire trilogy was a fan service leading up to what they're doing now.
Yeah, I could see that. But if you want to do true fan service, give people what they really want. What they wanted was an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. And I loved Solo, but the majority of fans didn't want a Solo movie at that time. They don't want a Yoda movie, even despite the memes. What they wanted was a Kenobi movie.
Yeah.
They didn't want a Boba Fett movie either. And The Mandalorian has kind of, what's the most important part of The Mandalorian?
I have spoken.
It's Baby Yoda. I mean, we all love The Mandalorian and Gina Carano and everything, but everybody wants to talk about Baby Yoda.
It's kind of their way of getting the Boba Fett and Yoda movies in slyly.
It's lore. It is getting in to explaining lore that was established and now is not. Yoda was never established. That was one thing George Lucas. But I think if you did Revan, and then here's your trilogy. I mean, your trilogy could just be simply, hey, let's do Revan, let's do Bane, and let's do Plagueis. I mean, let's just canonize these Sith.
Sith-ish. And then Sith.
Sith, Jedi, Sith-ish, basically Sith. So
you could argue at the end he was a Sith, at least the part that died.
Who's that?
Revan.
But did he die? I mean,
He was split in two, technically.
It's everything's debatable with Revan, but
I don't know. As far as Revan goes, I could almost see a Revan series, and I'm not talking a one season. I'm talking a longer series.
I think
Revan.
I personally think that Revan.
I just don't think you could tie it into one movie, and
it's a trilogy. Yeah. It's a trilogy movie. You have the early Mandalorian War. You have his descent into the Sith, where he, effectively comes back with Malak to destroy the Republic. And then you have his redemption arc when he turns back. That's a trilogy. That's a trilogy.
It truly is.
So that's, I mean, why can't we do that? I don't, listen, the High Republic stuff, it's probably going to be cool. We're all going to watch it. But is it going to be in a movie theater near you? I doubt it.
I don't know. I've heard both ways that people think that it's going to turn out to be more series and just the movies are kind of going to be icing on the cake, which worries me if they're already kind of, writing off the movies that much.
Yeah.
There are some things I'm interested about in it, though. Potentially seeing Ilum, as we saw in Jedi Fallen Order we got to explore its ruins, but seeing it in its heyday would be kind of cool. The only thing that really excites me is, the one issue we had with the most recent Skywalker trilogy is we didn't get as much, at least in Last Jedi, we didn't get as much about the Jedi as we wanted. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was almost all 3 movies, though. And this is a great way to
overcompensate,
completely focus on the Jedi and nothing else, and also add in some new abilities, because if it is the Renaissance period of the Republic, Jedi are going to be experimenting more, are going to come up with some new abilities. That could really be cool.
So it's the 60s?
Yeah, pretty much. They're experimenting with psychedelics and they're learning new Force abilities. Hold on, man. Before we do this duel, I'm going to get a little high.
Oh, God. That turned a bad corner. I mean, just a little dark side, man. Just a little bit of dark side.
And you could argue that we could get a lot more Jedi-focused stories in the Old Republic too, which we certainly could with Jedi that we already care about.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I still think you do a Revan trilogy, you could do a Bane trilogy, and then stop pussyfooting around it. I mean, again, it's like, you think you know what the fans want, but you don't. It's unfortunately rather clear that they don't. Mm-hmm. And you either want to take risks or you don't.
You could argue that this is the biggest risk of all, instead of doing fan service and giving us our established lore.
But see, there's the thing. There's fan service and then there's fan service. Mm-hmm. There's fan service that's just trying to give people what you think, like the loud Twitter folks, what you think that they want, and then actually going back and reestablishing canon. That's not fan service. That's just good business. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It should be fine. I'm just not. It's not my focus right now. Mm-hmm. I like I said, I would rather see a Revan trilogy than this. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it'll be fine, but I just don't care right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Project Luminous comes out, and then we kind of see what they've done. Then maybe I'll care a little bit more, and we'll talk about it more. But I've got to see that drop before I really start to comment on it. I just think it's too early.
Yeah. I mean, all we really know is the time period. That's pretty much it. So.
Yep, for sure. So let's move on to our second topic that will probably dominate the rest of the podcast, and that is the Trevorrow leak episode 9 script. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read a somewhat long-ish Reddit post, and then we're going to discuss a few things, because a lot of these are points that were made. This isn't obviously the full script or anything like that. So title, Duel of Fates, which I don't... Yeah, I don't know if that's actually would actually have been, but you never know. The crawl. The iron grip of the First Order has spread to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Only a few scattered planets remain unoccupied. Traitorous acts are punishable by death. Determined to suffocate a growing unrest, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has silenced all communications between neighboring systems. Led by General Leia Organa, the Resistance has planned a secret mission to prevent their annihilation and forge a path to freedom. Pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
Not Papa Palpatine or anything like that. Not a mysterious voice heard across the galaxy. Let's see here. So we get open at the Kuwait shipyards. BB-8 and Rose Tico infiltrating this moon where First Order ships are being built. Finn and Poe are there. And this Reddit post is actually somebody who is listening to this and kind of relaying it in his own sort of deal. So Rey also arrives. The plan is to send explosives into the power shaft, deliver raw ore to the ring. Plan goes wrong. Let's see. You have an Admiral Vaughn. Says Resistance tactics are pitiful. Rey's disguised as a Tusken Raider, revealed to have created her own weapon, a double-bladed lightsaber hybrid of her staff and Luke's cracked saber. So that's and we can kind of
That's a big change.
we can discuss as we roll here, I guess. So one of the things that we had kind of already talked about is Rose was supposed to get a bigger part in this, but we also kind of established Rose was supposed to get a bigger part in Rise, but her tie-in was with Leia and Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
Not much we can do there.
Yeah.
And this isn't any disrespect to Rose or the actress who played her, but, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty clear that the mantle was passed to Poe, not to Rose. And, you know, she was there. She did her thing. She fought. But, you know, I think we're kind of blowing up something that wasn't an issue.
We really couldn't have done much more with her in that movie the way it turned out. So
You might have been able
could have
to,
done
but
some more.
I think a lot of the backlash is due to the fact of how nasty people were to Kelly Marie Tran after her portrayal in The Last Jedi. And we understand we're conscientious about that, but overcompensation for that fact isn't going to help anything.
No, it's not.
But I did
And
like
there was
her.
a lot of overcompensation in Rise of Skywalker. You could argue that with some of the retconning. So.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, Rey creating her own saber, which we did get at the very end of this movie.
Interesting that flip-flops to the very beginning.
It actually makes more sense
It
to
does.
me
Because we got the same thing with Luke with Return of the Jedi. So
correct. Yeah. And my whole thing is like,
what's the point of getting it at the very last? We're never going to see Rey again, supposedly. So why do we care about this saber now?
Well,
we get no screen time with it.
Yeah, I mean, my point was more that, you know, you had potentially destroyed that saber, Luke's saber, and now you didn't explain how it was reconstructed.
Yeah. And now we have to wait for a comic to explain it, which really, I mean, it could have taken 10 seconds to explain it in the movie.
Exactly. So I kind of would have preferred they would have done something with her saber earlier on here and like just explain that maybe she took the crystals and you would have had blue saber maybe, and then a little later on she turns it or whatever. I don't know.
Timber.
Takes her lover's crystals.
That's right.
Kylo's crystals and just crystals them.
Just infuses them.
I don't know. Something like that. Okay, let's see. They battle and steal a Star Destroyer, which would have been epic. But one of my predictions for listen, one of my predictions was that entire fleet. I wanted it to be an old fleet from the Galactic Empire that the Resistance would take to go fight a much bigger First Order force.
I don't necessarily know there would have been enough Resistance fighters to pilot all of those.
No,
Star Destroyers.
I know, but it would have been awesome.
It would have.
Just to show up, it's like
you just see one Resistance fighter and each one running through.
Yeah. Well,
20 different command posts trying to control the thing.
Well, this was the Empire that gave us so much hurt and pain, and now we're going to take their weapons of death and use them against the next force. I think it would have been cool. A little apropos. So they steal a Star Destroyer and escape. The Knife 9, a ship containing the Knights of Ren, arrives. Ren kills Admiral Vaughn for his failure. That's pretty Ren for you. Cut to Coruscant. Bringing back Coruscant.
Yeah, which we unfortunately didn't really get.
No. No longer a vibrant city. New structures are built atop the Art Deco structure of the Old Republic, occupied by the First Order now. So that's interesting. So the First Order took over the center of the galaxy in Coruscant.
Yeah.
It'd
almost be like a German occupation type deal.
Kind of, but you know, we never really had the First Order they occupied.
No, they
didn't
occupied
have like a
space.
Home.
They didn't really go to any planets.
I mean, their major bases were their ships.
Right.
Which is actually kind of strange.
Yeah, it is.
Now that I think about it, I never really thought about it like that.
Of course, then again, you can make the same argument for the Empire.
Yeah, true. Well, no, they had Coruscant.
I mean, they did have some. Well, they did, true.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously their leaders weren't really there, but at least in the movies, you didn't see it.
Well, yeah, in the movies, you're right.
There was some in the books, I believe. So
good God,
drawing a blank.
Yeah, I just ran through the. Now I'm forgetting the Aftermath series. The actual Chancellor. Wow, I'm forgetting his name. I can't remember his name. Anyway, had the big spikes.
Yeah, the one that Palpatine overthrew eventually.
No,
right?
he didn't.
Or no, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Thinking the one before him.
He was his advisor
in
the last bit of the Republic,
Right,
and then he
right.
became the pseudo chancellor, and he eventually signed the treaty over with Mon Mothma to end the hostilities of the remnants. I just can't remember his name. That's going to bother me. I'll remember it later tonight. So anyway, we have a Chancellor Hux. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Why can't I remember this guy's name?
I don't
Is
know.
the last name Fortuna, or am I thinking of something else?
Bib Fortuna?
Bib Fortuna? No, who is Bib?
I don't know who he is,
Dang
but
it.
no, that's not the Chancellor.
It's not that. God, that's so. Okay, whatever. So anyway, we have Chancellor Hux. Biskova, a traitor who helped the Resistance steal a Star Destroyer, is executed with a light blade guillotine. So I wonder if that was supposed to be that alien who was killed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, on the ship.
Obviously, no traitor Hux at this point.
Yes, Hux and Commander Tom Selleck. It's not Tom Selleck, it's just Selleck. With an amazing mustache, have a meeting with several alien warlords. First Order has allies. They're aware of Rey, and being the last Jedi, Council wants to know where is Kylo Ren. Cut to Mustafar.
Another thing a lot of people wanted and we didn't get.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting. There are a lot of parallels between Kylo's journey and Anakin's journey, and you can see that more in The Rise of Skywalker. Just sort of how they were both pretty arrogant, immature teenagers, and sort of a similar influential character in their lives that helped turn them. So yeah, Mustafar I think would have been appropriate, but anyway,
Which is something we didn't get through any of the movies. We got it through Revenge of the Sith. That's about it. So, and that was even something written into the original trilogy.
Yeah, true. So. All right, cut to Mustafar. Kylo Ren is alone, except for a Darth Maul-esque droid.
Yeah,
he's back. Back. Darth Maul's back. I actually just watched the episode of Rebels where Obi-Wan comes back and defeats him.
Yeah, isn't that great?
I fell asleep. I actually fell asleep during it, but then I woke up at the exact moment when he killed.
Did you notice that that's the exact move that he tries to use on Obi-Wan that he used on Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
He trained his entire life to defend himself against that move.
It was great. Ren, okay, so his subtly indicated search has been, something about a search has been for a long time. Ren is being haunted by Luke's Force Ghost. This is actually where I start getting really interested. Luke's like taunting him.
Just like he did in his last moments.
This is where the dark path leads, an empty tomb. And then Kylo's retorting, well, where did your path lead? Well, I'm pretty powerful and a dead ghost, so I'm here to taunt you, buddy. So who's got the high ground?
I cheated death, and you're not going to. So I don't know. You tell me.
Who's got the high ground now, Ben? Luke is trying to convince him to go back to Leia. Kylo, I'm going to be more powerful than any Jedi, even you.
Again, cheated death, buddy, but okay.
Yeah. In Vader's temple, Kylo finds a Sith holocron, which reveals a hologram of Palpatine, recording it for Vader. Palpatine has a contingency for Vader if Luke kills him. Vader is to take Luke to Remnacor, a system to see Tor Valum, master of Sith / Palpatine's teacher. So is it, Tor Valum. Now, we had always kind of, had the whole Plagueis was his master, the one who he learned from or taught. So new character.
Yeah, but also kind of messes up the rule of two a little bit because shouldn't he be dead? But
yeah. Well, the rule of two was not the original rule of anything until Darth Bane established it.
Yeah.
So.
But this would obviously be well after that, so.
True. Yeah, we'll see. So, after scanning Kylo, the holocron explodes and releases red light, which burns Kylo, who screams.
Oh, so this is how he gets his injury.
I guess.
Because the scar isn't good enough.
Cut to Resistance base on Core Alpha. I like how they have a bunch of question marks next to these systems. Like, they don't know how to spell them, but I heard it. Phonetic spelling.
We don't have Coruscant anymore, so we're Core Alpha.
Yeah. Leia is introduced as she feels what's happening to Ben. Chewbacca and Lieutenant Connix tell Leia that the Kuat team is back. They're shocked to see a Star Destroyer, which has landed onto the planet. Funny moment. We're raised using mind tricks on First Order officers who are still on the ship. Oh, we saw that. We're so glad you're here. I actually like that. Rey confides to Finn that she doesn't feel like she has what it takes to be a Jedi and can't live up to everyone's expectations.
And then Finn says, I have something to tell you, and then falls into the, oh, wait, never mind.
Let's see. Finn asks her if she still senses Kylo. Rey confesses she's been having nightmares. Finn asked if it's Kylo. Rey says she can't explain their connection.
Is it Kylo?
But is it Kylo? Got a hot boyfriend now? You have to shut him out. He can't change. It's too late. Rey, it's never too late to change. You taught me that, Finn. You know, when you stop being a First Order trooper. Yeah. Okay, Rey. I mean, it's not like he killed a bunch of people, but whatever.
Maybe Finn did, too.
With his mop.
That's
his
right.
sanitation mop. Resistance realizes that the Star Destroyer still has most of its weapons. Only missing piece is an army to use it, which...
Oh, we have that.
Yeah. Okay. It's an old Vine. It's like... I don't remember. It's gone. I'm so forgetful today. It's ridiculous. Oh, I'm probably going to have problems later on in life. Anyway, Rey, researching the Jedi text from Octo, discovers that under Coruscant's Jedi Temple, there's a communication system called a Force Beacon from the Old Republic that can send a signal to 50 planets. Well, Jesus, that's kind of sucky. They plan on using it to get allies. First Order can't stop it since it predates Imperial tech. Rey, hope is all we have left. So they're going to go to Coruscant for a beacon that the First Order can't stop because the tech's too old.
Yeah. Tech's too old. They can't just destroy it.
So there has been a lot of stuff in Legends about Coruscant. The Jedi Temple was built on a former Sith temple. There was, I can't remember what book it was, but there was a book where Luke goes back and confronts a lot of things in that temple. One day I'll remember what that is, and hopefully we can maybe discuss that, because that was very... Coruscant never really got back to being what it was, obviously. And
weren't there still some secret Sith operating under the temple?
It's Legends, but yes, there were a lot of things going on that were very cool. Yeah. But a beacon, a force beacon. Sorry, I don't mean to tear this apart, but like a force beacon. Is that
already something in lore that you know of? Because I've never heard of. I don't think I
have. If any of you guys at home have, feel free to contact us. TC Plan Podcast, gmail.com, Facebook, or at TC Plan Podcast on Twitter.
Not YouTube.
Well, you can comment on YouTube. I still get the emails. But yeah, that seems a little bit, but okay, let's move on. Force Ghost Luke appears as Rey trains. Luke is pushing Rey to get stronger in the Force while he pushes Kylo to let Ben out. Let him out! Kylo makes it back to Coruscant. Face is damaged. Mandalorian armor is smelted and has been applied to his face. Confronts Hux and belittles him, saying he doesn't need titles. Mandalorian armor is smelted and has been applied to his face, like fused to his face,
applied,
or just
not
like
fused or put on, just applied, like a topical cream for the burn.
Oh crap! Oh dang it! Oh,
you lose it.
The page. Oh, Tom Selleck. Oh, base. Oh, geez, I'm trying to find it again.
So are they trying to do a cheap version of, It's like, yeah, we're just going to do kind of a Revan thing because that's kind of a Mandalorian-esque helmet. So we're just going to make him look like Revan.
Well, but again, applied to his face. Again, are they putting it like Robo face, or
like,
is
would you
this
say
supposed
like
to just
Vader's helmet was applied to his face? Is that what we're talking about here? Or? You could argue his helmet is applied to his face by robotic
I think
arms.
what he needs is some of that IG-11 Bacta.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently it can fix the spinal injury. And should be able to fix a face.
Without actually applying it to the spine.
Really ridiculous. Okay, let's move on. Rey to Luke as they train. Balance. Oh, wait. Yep, that's the next one. Rey to Luke as they train. Balance. The dark suffocates the light. Light extinguishes the dark over and over and over again. How is that balance of the Force? I know that anger. My father had it. My father before, his father before it had it. I have it. My son, Ben had it. My father had it too. So, says my master and his master before him, 1,000 masters so eager to tell us how to live. All right,
Let
teenager.
me live my life my way. I just want to go in the corner and listen to Linkin Park.
My Chemical Romance. Much more emo.
Linkin Park.
Yeah, God. Rest of the exchange between Rey and Luke is basically Rey trying to back away from being a Jedi. She admits that she is no one, and Luke trying to convince her. He says the Force is speaking to her. Back to Kylo. He and Hux continue to snip at each other. This is somebody, summarizing. He and Hux continue to snip at each other. Kylo says he's leaving again, but not before telling Hux the power he discovered will make destroying planets insignificant. Kylo's last order to Hux: find the resistance, wipe them out, leave the girl to me. Just simple.
Basic
Kill them all,
stuff.
except her. Let me. I like her. She's sweet.
Still good Turner, maybe. I don't know. Might delete later.
I like that. All right, so I like this next one. We have breakup Team A and Team B. Team A, Rose, Finn, R2, 3PO, going to Coruscant to light the beacon.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
The beacons of Coruscant are lit. The beacons are lit. Coruscant calls for aid. Team B, Rey, Poe, and Chewbacca, going to a planet to find someone to help Rey figure out what she needs to do. Does she need like a what was the Dear Abby? She needs to like write a letter to the editor, like a Dear Abby post. Dear Abby, I don't know what I should do. Should I remain on the path of the Jedi, or should I get a little dark? Well, Rey, that's a really good question. I believe everybody has a little bit of darkness in them, and sometimes just need to get a little wild, but always remember to do the right thing. I don't know, something like that.
By the way, I'm more interested in just Finn, awakening the Force inside him with this beacon. That should have happened already. But
I'm dead serious. As soon as I started talking about that beacon, I automatically thought of Lord of the Rings. The beacons are lit. Kylo is going to a Sith planet, Rebnicor. Before he leaves Coruscant, he takes Vader's mask and says he understands Vader now. You allowed...
Oh, do you? Do you understand Vader?
You allowed love to cloud your judgment, and he throws Vader's mask off a balcony, and it shatters. Leia stays at the base, overseeing the resistance. Before Rey leaves, she and Leia have an exchange where Rey says she believes there's still good in Kylo. Leia's skeptical, but Rey believes her Jedi training. Leia, you're not like my father or my brother. You're new. Whatever happens, remember the Force chose you, Rey. Your story isn't written by anyone else.
As in, you don't have a last name. We're not going to tell you.
Yeah, so apparently that was the end of one person's summary. So let me kind of a couple of these start another one. Okay, so this is somebody else picking up the summary, but where we left off. So First Order tracks down Stolen Death Star. Resistance escapes. Team A. Who was Team A again? Rose, Finn, R2, 3. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Successfully infiltrates the Jedi Temple to turn on the beacon.
And Finn becomes a Jedi.
Yeah, okay. Team A flee to the underbelly of Coruscant. Team B are being pursued by Knife 9, which is dumb. I don't like it.
Why 9?
Are there 9 Knights of Ren?
No, there are not. Unless
maybe there
some
were
of
here.
them died.
I don't know. And eventually reach the planet Bonadan. A lot of planets. Okay, Kylo reaches Ravnicor, confronts Torvalum, 7-year-old alien of unknown origin.
7-year-old?
7,000.
Oh, okay. I would say 7.
Some age. He's a 7-year-old. I'm the master. Okay, boomer. Okay,
I'm going to cut your ankles off.
spindly, intensely sinewy muscles, very Lovecraftian. So, H.P. Lovecraft, tentacle monster, got it. Because we all need hentai. I mean, tentacles.
What? How many lightsabers does he have for penetrating people's armor? What if all his tentacles are lightsabers?
Oh, Jesus.
He's infused his body with crystal.
Just stop. Okay, well, Kylo begins training with Valium. I'm going to call him Valium now.
That's even worse.
Fight is brutal, and Kylo loses. Apparently, probably because he gets smacked several times and poked around by tentacles. Let's see. Poe takes Rey to a seer who can pull information out of her memories. Seer pulls a star chart out of Rey's mind because she clearly remembers star charts up in there. From her visions with Kylo, Knights Ren show up and fight Rey in a lightsaber battle. She defeats them, and Team B escapes.
Does she kill them?
She says defeat. Both Rey and Kylo eventually get to Mortis.
Mortis.
You ready to just go off the rails here, man? You ready to just take that train?
You mean to say Mordor?
We must take the lightsaber to Mordor. I will take it. I will take it.
But for second breakfast.
You have my lightsaber and my blaster and my vibro axe.
By the way, did you hear they're making a Lord of the Rings MMO? Yeah, they're coming out with a new one this year.
Well, they have a series eventually coming out too, so
great time to be a nerd.
Yeah. So they get to Mortis. Leia asks Lando, here's Lando. Hey, I'm here.
Time.
I'm here too, guys. If he will organize the smugglers and fight the First Order. Rose is captured and tortured by the First Order, but is able to escape. Finn, R2, 3PO start a citizens' uprising on Coruscant around the First Order's citadel. Leia brings her forces to Coruscant to battle the First Order. Massive space battle, ground battle. Chewie flies an X-Wing.
Chewie can't fit in an X-Wing. Are you kidding me? He can't
what
fit
it says.
in that.
It's what it says, man.
Is it a modified X-Wing?
Better have a lot of legroom like a Cadillac. Cadillac 1.
He kicks his feet through the X-Wing.
There you go. Oh, Rey and Kylo battle on Mortis using force energy that they pull from each other. So it's just like, give that back. At some point,
sounds terrible, honestly.
At some point, it is revealed Kylo killed Rey's parents at the behest of Snoke.
Of course.
Towards the end, Luke, Obi-Wan, Yoda appear as Force ghosts to save Ben, but are unsuccessful. Ben is, quote, in quotation marks, extinguished. Extinguished, yeah.
God, I love the terminology used in this.
So, I mean, just this just kind of lamely ends as like, looks like the Resistance won, First Order loses. Han Solo maybe appears somewhere in the script to confront Kylo at some point, maybe.
Why? Why does the First Order win, the Resistance wins just because of that? There's still a massive army to fight.
Win! Yeah, again, like folks are saying, this isn't just thrown aside. So a lot of places where we typically pull random stories from, like Screen Rant or something like that, headlines are like, "Oh, the Trevorrow script is, it would have been so good, it would have been better, it would have been really good, blah blah blah." I'll be honest with you, man.
Is there anything you pull from that you'd want?
This sounds like a flippin' mess.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, and maybe it's just because literally we have two different commenters in a Reddit thread saying it. So it's very possible that if we were to really get the full script leaked, we might be able to see the threads a little bit better. But why the hell would we go on a beacon on Coruscant? There is so much more you could do with Coruscant with the Sith Temple that would be so much more flippin' interesting. And
why isn't Kylo going to that Sith temple?
Exactly. I mean, listen, I would have loved to have seen Mustafar up close and kind of seen him
Other
sort
than
of
the two scenic views we got of Mustafar, actually see maybe Vader's castle.
Here's my incorporation. Beginning of Rise, when you had Kylo doing his soul-searching moment, he first goes to Mustafar. You know what? I'm free now. I'm free of the constraints. I've said I'm going to live up to my grandfather and finish what you started, although we didn't quite explain what he started. But anyway, I'm going to go to Mustafar. This was his place. This was
why wouldn't you
his
start
fortress.
there?
So I'm going to go there. And you know what? Maybe that's where you found the freaking Wayfinder.
Yeah.
Not on some random planet.
That
like
made
a
no
peg
sense.
on the
Like, why are
ground.
these people defending this?
Listen, we had a Return to Vader's Castle comic where they had a bunch of lava monsters.
Yeah.
I would have much rather seen like him confronting some Mustafarian lava monsters than some randos on a random planet.
And by the way,
get a
they
pedestal.
actually
Come on.
tie that in. You know who those people were? They're supposedly the children of the people that were watching Palpatine in that final scene.
Oh, really?
They're the children of them. Yeah. That's the tie-in for those creatures or people, whatever.
It was dumb.
It was.
No offense, but the more I think about it, and
let there be offense. You're allowed to not like parts of a movie. It's crap.
There are certain things in here that have got me thinking. So that's why I think it's interesting to talk about. But like, it would have been a lot more interesting if we would have had Mustafar be the destination where he goes in and maybe he confronts some old holdouts there and he just chops them. It's like, oh, we've been waiting for you. Bloop.
And I'll tell you what, that would be a much more impactful moment to see him in Mustafar than we got to see with Rey on the Death Star. Would have been way more interesting for me personally.
I think all the stuff on the Death Star was probably some of my favorite stuff in
It was
in
cool,
Rise.
but I think that'd be more impactful to go back to Mustafar in a way.
Maybe.
Or
And then-
have Ben go to the Death Star.
Wait. And then he goes out to that ledge, and then he stands there and he's like, who's got the high ground now, bitch? Oh, and that's where you get Anakin.
Goes
No,
back
wait.
into that room where
No,
he kills all the separatist leaders.
That's where you get Anakin's ghost showing up.
Right.
Like just one.
Why not?
One last shade. Oh, no, wait. Oh, it's getting better. Hold on. Okay, so as he's going for the holocron, maybe you get a projection of Vader or Anakin, or you get the ghost or something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's that one last sort of, maybe it doesn't even have to be like very long, but just like you just see Anakin appear and just say, you're going down a dangerous path.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
Yeah.
Not even a
or-
conversation, but you're going down a dark path.
Or, how about this? Maybe we find some kind of recording that Padme had made for Anakin saying that. And then Kylo gets to see it. Because, God forbid, we have Padme in this series, in this trilogy, right?
Wait a minute. Dude, what if Anakin had, what if he had like some old communique between the two of them?
Yeah.
And that was like a tie, and it's like just saying like,
And that would make more sense for Kylo's comment of, you let love cloud your judgment. Because how else would he know that?
well, like
From
like,
this script, he doesn't learn
well,
that,
I mean,
really.
his parents might have explained that to him at
Maybe
some
a
point.
little bit, but did they really understand it?
No, like think about this. What if it was like a communique he brings up and it's like, Anakin, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah. And then maybe there's recordings of him strangling Padme
Oh,
as
no.
well.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But I mean, yeah.
But
yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time, him seeing that happen to his grandmother, maybe that would be a turning point for him as well.
Yeah.
Because you could still have a redemption arc with him in this by doing those kind of things.
God, listen, I think that's a missed opportunity.
It really is.
So again, like what we've read is kind of a mess, but that would have been really cool, but not quite the way they did it, but slightly different. Wayfinder. I mean, again, I'm still sort of in the justification of Palpatine here,
Yeah.
but I do think that finding the Wayfinder there would have been
It would have been so much better.
It would have been
so much better.
Cool. So cool. And you don't have to explain anything because everybody knows what it is.
Yep. And if you don't, then shame on you.
Oh, goodness.
And also, here's another thing that, granted, we didn't get the full script here, but here's another question that's just arising. What the heck happens with Snoke? There's nothing that deals with the Snoke issue in this script. At least we got something with Rise of Skywalker.
Well,
we get nothing in
True,
this.
but here's the thing. So in this script, we're not incorporating Palpatine as your bad guy. So it's literally just Snoke was somebody who turned Kylo, and then Kylo killed him and turned on him. Again, kind of fulfilling a rule of two thing anyway, continuing the Sith, but you don't have the overarching Palpatine was still here the entire time deal.
But man, that just kind of makes Snoke out to be a little bitch.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, he's probably the most easily killed Sith Lord if you go down that path.
The way in which he was
made out to be such a badass before then.
The way in which Snoke was killed still populates into my theory of this being the plan all along to kill him in that manner because of Palpatine. Palpatine justifies my theory when we talked about when we did a rehash of Last Jedi stuff like way a few months ago.
But if you don't have Palpatine, it kind of it doesn't ruin it, but it just kind of makes him less of a badass.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right there. So yeah, I mean, what else? The beacon, sorry, kind of dumb.
There's so much you could do with those temples that would not include new lore.
No, everybody would have automatically been the beacons are lit, Gondor calls for aid. I don't care. I love Lord of the Rings. It would have been what every single person in America says, and Britain, and the rest of the world.
And Rey could have found maybe some hidden texts that maybe survived the purge going into the temple. I mean, maybe she unlocks some kind of vault of some kind with her force powers. Find some stuff.
Wait a minute. What if she has constructed her lightsaber, but she doesn't have a crystal for it?
And maybe there's some crystals hidden in the temple.
Because Luke's crystal was maybe it was destroyed in that, and that's the
where
big
else
explosion.
is she going to go to get a crystal?
That's what I'm saying. And maybe that's where she finds just eight. Well, it'd have to be 2 crystals, obviously, if it's still double bladed. But she just finds 2 crystals down there in the depths of Coruscant. Lost to time, but they. I know you haven't read the Ahsoka novel, right?
I haven't.
Okay, I actually just finished that. It's really good. I would personally recommend it. C.K. Johnson, and I thought it was really interesting. So, in that book, she actually talks about having to find new crystals.
Right, because she goes with 2 white blades. Is it?
Yeah, well, at the end, in Clone Wars, Anakin does give her 2 blades, but she buries those when she leaves after the Order 66. So she does construct new lightsabers in this book and then finds crystals that sing out to her.
Yeah.
There's the connection. Every Jedi, and we saw this in
Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, which was really cool to showcase that.
Yes. The crystals connect with you. There is a connection between those crystals.
They call out to you.
And exactly. And in the Republic time, it's like you could find crystals. You know where to find them. It's all good. There's plenty, but there's only so many and potentially one that's meant for you. So, God, how cool would that have been if Rey, she constructs this lightsaber, her old lightsaber's done. She's maybe questioning everything because she doesn't have the weapon of a Jedi. She only has the Force to use. And
Wouldn't
it's like,
this be a great time to have some Force ghosts or some voices speak with her?
Yeah, buddy.
Instead of the culmination of all the Jedi fighting within her, this is when we get our moment. Qui-Gon, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Mace, Ahsoka, all these different Jedi throughout the ages. Revan.
Well, I'm thinking
all these different timelines.
A very easy one to do because it's Coruscant. Mace Windu died on Coruscant.
Yeah. Or what if, and some people like it, some people don't. What if Mace Windu does survive and actually finds Rey in the temple? And we have this little, not necessarily for training purposes.
He'd be old.
He would be. But it'd be kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. I think we'd be, this is just my realistic brain. I think that we'd be pushing the boundaries of ordinary life, especially seeing as he was pretty screwed up there. But that would be interesting.
That's only about a 30-year jump, though. So realistically, I mean, he'd be...
Well, no, it's more than that.
Well,
because this new trilogy is 30 years after.
That's true. That'd
Return.
I'm sorry. That'd be like a 60 or 50-year jump of something.
It would be a pretty big jump. I mean, it's not unobtainable.
He was probably around 30-ish. I would say.
That's something we'd have to look up, maybe. I personally would just...
You'd really have to age Jackson a lot for that,
Well,
but it'd be cool in a way.
Here's the thing.
I would rather see some Force ghosts.
True. And it seems like everybody's a Force ghost now, so you don't, which actually kind of diminishes the Qui-Gon thing, which I'm not a big fan of, but like, if we're just going to do that, then okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I actually now really love the idea of her going to Coruscant, finding 2 crystals that were maybe in the depths of some vault or something like that, being able to construct her saber and bring that to life. Like maybe she still has Luke's old crystals and she's trying to make them work, but she just can't. Mm-hmm. And then once she's able to power up her lightsaber,
Luke sings to her at that point.
well, I'm just saying, like, this gives her the confidence now to be a Jedi, because it's like, bzz, bzz, I'm now complete.
Yeah,
because the weapon of Jedi is also a part of them. Mm-hmm. So, oh man, that would have been cool.
And again, that would have been a cool incorporation to the staff that she always carried as well, because it doesn't say in that script whether or not that's the staff.
Yeah,
but I think that would.
Yeah, they did.
Is it that staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
They said pieces from her staff and Luke's saber.
Okay.
So, oh man, that would have been interesting. Mm-hmm. That would have been interesting. But yeah, massive space battle and ground battle on Coruscant at the end to decide the fate of the galaxy.
Yeah, why not? That'd be a great place to end it.
An uprising with the existing citizens, which kind of happened in the Aftermath books with the Remnant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that'd be okay. That'd be okay. But yeah, I mean, it is a huge departure from what we had saw in Rise.
And obviously, Rey is no one still at this point. So that, to me.
And Kylo doesn't survive.
Yeah.
After a confrontation on Mortis. I think they're trying to put like too many planets in here. Mm-hmm. Did you get that sort of vibe?
We get 5 new planets?
There were a lot.
Very vague planets.
Well, again, this is a summary, so we don't know the completion. But why would they go to Mortis?
Yeah,
I mean, we don't get the significance of that.
There's
so it just
massive
sounds
fight on Coruscant. They're fighting on Mortis, and that stops the fight on Coruscant because they don't show how the Resistance does anything in this.
Well, I think it'll be something more or less like, the Resistance turns the tide, they're able to break the lines, blah, 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 defeat them, and then all of a sudden, Rey on a completely other plane is then defeating Kylo. Yeah. Ah, man. Messy.
It is. There are things you can pull from it to make a better script than it.
I think so.
There are some things you could even incorporate into our version of Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Potentially.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think...
anything with Kylo, I think, could have been put in there.
Sure.
Especially Mustafar. That could go into it easily.
And
really, Mustafar, with the things we talked about with Padme and everything, things that would make him question what his grandfather did, the path of the dark side, would actually have strengthened the reason he would turn back.
Yeah, sure.
Granted, his father is more than enough for him to have that moment with him and talk to him. That's more than enough of a reason. Yeah. And the death of his mother, obviously. But that would be a cool turning point.
I mean, I love the Han moment in Rise. I think most people...
and it would also go back to his comments of kill the past if you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of it, because I don't want to go on forever and ever, although we might still be able to. But I think that the interesting thing about this script is not necessarily the completion of the content, but really the conversation that it can start.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the more probably interesting pieces that I've come across in a while now that has really made me think a lot. Mm-hmm. Our buddies over at Hyperspace Hangout, Matt and Nez, had a kind of like a leak for Rise some time ago. And I listened to a bit of it, but then I was like, no, I don't want to listen to all of it. There was a lot of stuff in their leak which actually did come to fruition in the movie. But it didn't really make me think all that much, which is strange. But this did, and there's some interesting stuff here. But there again, it's a lot of it is not quite on what I'm thinking, but it gets me close to things that we could tie in from things that we know from lore. And it just makes things a little bit more fun to speculate about. But the movie's done. And so is this conversation.
It is what it is.
This conversation's over. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it is what it is at this point. I don't think we got a bad movie. We've already talked about this in extensive detail.
We talked about it ad nauseum, really. We had quite a few conversations with different folks and everything. We'll do a retrospective as well when the movie actually gets out on Blu-ray. Yeah. But no, I think it's very interesting to speculate. But was this script, in your opinion...
No, it was not better.
Super good and better and perfect.
No, honestly, I think it was a jumbled mess. And honestly, it sounds like, I hate to say it, and I hate to bring him up, but almost like Rian Johnson had something to do with this, just of how much of a cluster it was and the weird direction we go with it.
I think that the point that some people were making was that this was a better tie-in to The Last Jedi and more of a continuation of Rian Johnson's sort of arc-ish adjacent.
But is that what we wanted?
I don't know, man. I mean, Johnson took a shot in the dark. I mean, he took a risk. There were certain things that paid off. There were certain things that didn't. That's what risk takers do.
I think at the end of the day, this being a continuation still leaves a lot of questions, whereas what we got with JJ did answer a lot of questions. And yeah, some people had problems with, well, they just retconned it. They just did away with that. And that's what it seemed like the movie was about, was doing away Johnson's work.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I feel like they answered questions in a timely fashion.
Sure.
They didn't linger on anything. And there's nothing worse than having the end of a trilogy just raise too many questions to really enjoy the experience.
Right.
So that'd be my only fear with this script, is raising too many questions.
Maybe.
Cool concepts.
Yep.
I liked a few of them.
Well, if we get a more complete picture of this, we might re-examine it and do another episode. But I think for now, we've kind of sponged out as much as we kind of should at this time.
Yeah.
But hopefully you enjoyed that conversation. I'd be very interested to hear what anybody else would like, or would be, thinking about during the conversation. And again, if you'd like to leave us any messages, the email is still out there, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook or on Twitter at tcplanpodcast. And, we'll discuss your theories on the show or anything, hey, maybe you think we're getting it wrong or we don't have the right view on it. Just let us know. And, like I said, we'll be more than happy to discuss it. So I guess for us, that's about it. And you guys have a great rest of your week, not a west of your week. Have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.